Briefly, we'll touch on what were the areas which, when we went out to the people, we asked, and maybe the methodology, but we'll just give the highlights of it. Briefly, we also touch on the findings, and the findings, there are those general findings, and there are those which we take as key findings. We'll touch on that. Then what we think are the drivers of satisfaction, and what we think are the recommendations and conclusion. So, by way of introduction, I want to say that customer satisfaction, and it is more important in insurance, because we know we are selling a service. Someone is giving you his money, and what you are giving him in return, he cannot take it home as he takes home a car if someone buys a car, or if someone buys sugar, he takes home at least the sugar. But the service is much felt when a customer is satisfied. And this leads to customer loyalty. Someone will be attached to you because he or she is satisfied with the service you are offering. If he's not satisfied, on the contrary, then also that talks volumes. And also, we look at it as very critical, because when a customer is not satisfied, it has implications. And when he is satisfied, he will come again and again and again. Later, I'll tell you what has been stated on those customers who are satisfied and those who are not satisfied. And when a customer is satisfied, it also helps us to improve our businesses, because that's why we open anyway. We open our doors to serve the customers. We make some profit. We do this and that and that. So none of us should deceive himself or herself that he's helping the people you are serving. They are the reasons why we open, and we must serve them better. Voice is a very, very important and valuable asset to each one's business. If a customer is going to talk good about your business, it is good for you. He eventually becomes your marketing officer when you haven't paid him or her. So we must all strive to see that we serve them better. We felt it important that we should do a study to find out the level of satisfaction. So now, moving to trying to understand what others say about customer satisfaction, I'll start with a quotation from the American Express. where they said customers are willing to spend 17% more on a company that provides outstanding customer service. These customers, even without you doing anything else, they are willing to spend a little more, 17%, according to American Express, 17% more, if he's satisfied. If a customer is satisfied, he'll be willing to spend an extra budget on it. And HubSpot, which is a software developer, is quoted that 93% of customers are likely to make repeat purchases with those companies which offer excellent service. 93% means almost everybody who you have served and is satisfied will come back to you. And this customer, you don't need any more convincing, because you have already convinced him or her when you provided a good service. This means even before you yearn to go to new areas, if you serve those customers you have and they are satisfied, you already have an assured market. You already have people who can buy from you, who can come back from you. And ladies and gentlemen, this sends a message that we must make sure that those customers we have, we make sure they do not move out of our offices unless they are satisfied. Sandy has already alluded to someone who wanted the bulbs tested, and then he couldn't take the bulbs because the box was open. Yes, they will be like that. But still, make sure nobody moves out of your office unless you have convinced him or her what he wants. Make sure that by the time he moves out, you are at the same page. Because if he doesn't, then it will create another problem. Another source said 72% of the customers will share a negative experience with 15 or even more people. 72%. It means whatever you do wrong will spread to more than 15 people by each of the person you have offended or you have not satisfied. What do we do? But look, when you go ahead to look on the contrary, if the customer is satisfied, 13%, 13 against 72%, 13% will share the good news. And when they share the good news, they will share it with 5 or 6. The bad news, 72%, which means almost everybody you offend will share. Almost. Because this is 2/3. This is 72% is 2/3 of those people who are offended in your workplace. They will share with 15 or more. But those ones you have satisfied, only 13, which means almost 1/10, are the ones who will share. But even when they share, they will share with only 5 or 6. It means that the good news will eventually move anywhere, but it moves much slower than the bad news. There is a Luganda version of it, and those who know it know. The bad news spreads faster than the good news. So this is what these people are saying here. Almost everybody who is not satisfied will just walk away without bothering himself or herself with you. They say, he just walks away and goes and looks for the alternative. Or he will completely leave the consumption of that service or good. Now, this means, therefore, that we should not wait for people to complain. Because if we are to wait for people to complain, 91% of the customers who are unhappy with the brand will leave without complaining. Someone can tell you, okay, we will conclude it tomorrow. And tomorrow he does not show up. You even call, he doesn't even pick. Because he's not satisfied with the service you offered. Now, these are good highlights which should really help us, because in the business you are in, or we regulate, this happens. And as I said earlier on, if it happens in the service, in the area where people are buying goods, someone knows that I'll buy a pair of shoes. It might be bad, but I'll take it home. But when someone is taking a policy document, a paper, someone thinks he's taking nothing. Not until the other time comes. So we must convince them, we must satisfy them in as much as possible. 34% of those who are not satisfied with your brand, with what you are offering, will eventually switch to another one. And this is according to Variant. They will switch to something else because you haven't satisfied them. But these are 34. The rest, you don't know where they are, and you don't know what is going to happen next. The other one is 83% of the companies that believe in it's essential to make customers happy also experience growing revenue. At least Forbes, you definitely know Forbes. This is tested. This is what is happening globally. 83% of the companies that believe that it is important to satisfy their customers, also their revenue grow. We all yearn to have our revenue growing. It means if 83% of the companies that satisfy their customer eventually have growth in their revenue, isn't it the best way to do? Isn't it what we should all yearn to be doing? Please, let's look there. The other one is from Salesforce, which said 84% of customers say they are more likely to stick with a brand that treats them like a person, not a number, not numbers. I think the taxi drivers, these matatus, if you have been lucky like I have been, and you used them for some good time, when you sit in the taxi and he drives past a stage with many people waiting outside, they say, "Hey, abantu banji bali bweru," as if for you who are inside, you are not people. So to them it is the numbers. When you sit, you just so we are just looking at the customers as numbers. When you do that, you need to look at this. 84% of customers, 84% will stick with you if they found out that you valued them. If you did not value them and you are counting numbers, this one I've finished, this one, then eventually he will move on. He or she will move on. Customer experience. Customer experience, customer satisfaction. 2/3 is 75%. No, actually 2/3 is not 75%. 2/3 is 67%. 67% customer experience. So, and when you go to another one, which says that business revenue can go almost double in 36 months if customer experience is improved to satisfactory levels. In 3 years, the business revenue will improve if you have customers who are satisfied. In our study, and the study was done by our team at the Insurance Regulatory Authority, we looked at the mode of premium payment. And that was in the customer satisfaction. How were they satisfied in terms of the mode which you use on premium payment? The other one was on the nature and range of the products which are on the market or which we sell to the people. The other parameter was on our claims handling processes. Are people satisfied with the way we handle their claims? Are people happy that their claims are handled in the time they expect their claims to be handled? And other things like that. Then the other parameter was on complaints handling processes. And the complaints handling processes, we looked at those when someone has something he's not satisfied with internally in your companies, are you really doing a job to make sure that before this person moves out of your office, his claim has been resolved internally? And to another extent, it stretched to when people can also complain to the insurance regulatory authority. We also sought to identify the key drivers of satisfaction. What is that really which makes a person satisfied, and on the contrary, which makes him or her not satisfied? And the challenges policyholders face in assessing the services. So these were the things which, among others, were looked at and were intended to ensure that we get more insight of what the customers want. Design which looked at the qualitative and the quantitative methods. Really, the qualitative is looking at how good or how the quality of doing this exercise, and the quantitative is the numbers. Quantity is the numbers. So that is what was used as a design. And in terms of the scope, we looked at the traditional regional hubs, the Western, Eastern, Northern, and Central. So when we were doing this exercise, we had to pick samples from all over the country, but mindful of how our country is divided. And in terms of the population, the policyholders which we started looking at were those numbers, but eventually we picked a sample of 384 policyholders who really, when you go down to the response rate, 74% of them responded to our study, which really meant that about 290 people responded. And those who responded, 157 were non-life, and 132 were life. We carried out a study on customer satisfaction and the implications of having a satisfied customer. It has become evident that when you have a customer who is satisfied, he will come back to your company and buy more of that brand which satisfied him. And it was also found out that a customer who is not satisfied or who is unhappy will, in many cases, they will inform 15 or more people about their not being happy with the product or with your brand. But a customer who is satisfied, it was also found out that about 13% of them are the ones who will tell about 5 or 6 people, which means also is that you must at all times fight to make the customer satisfied before he moves out of your office. This is the information we have been sharing with the insurance captains, and we have agreed to move in the direction of having all customers satisfied before they move out of the insurance companies. what we had before, as you may all recall, many of the customers, we wanted to know whether actually they are satisfied with the service the insurance companies do offer. We wanted to know whether they are satisfied with the claims handling processes. We wanted to know whether those who have complaints are addressed as they want. And we also wanted to know whether the premiums they pay, they feel they get value for money. And all those were the parameters which were used in the study, and I'm happy to say that they have informed our findings, and they are going to help our decisions moving forward. Those of you who have children going to school, you definitely know with the 74%, someone will be way below the expected good marks. However, it is a beginning, and it is a finding which we have come up from the study. It is going to inform our next study. After some time, maybe after three years, we'll carry out another customer satisfaction study. And we'll want to know whether we are improving or we are declining from the 74% stated in the study now. Olwaleero tubadde tuline abakulu abakulira insurance companies mu Uganda, ba CEOs, nga tutetenkanya butya ebyava mu kunoonyereza kwe twakola nga Insurance Regulatory Authority bwe twakizuula nti nno tulina okukola okunoonyereza okulaba oba kasitoma mumativu n'ebyo insurance company bye zikola era n'enkola y'emirimu, nga twatunuulira okulaba nti nno bamativu nti babeera bafunye claim oba nga baagala okusasulwa basasulwa mu budde, bwe babeera balina okwemulugunya kukolwako mu budde, bwe babeera balina kye baagala okugula bakigula mu ssente ezo ezigwanidde. Era ekyo kyatuyambyeko okulaba nti nno omugatte awamu ebitundu 74 ku 100 bye bakasitoma kye bayinza okugamba nti nno bamativu. Naye nga ffe enkola yaffe egamba nti nno twagala buli kaseera okubeera nga tutambulira mu kiraasi eya waggulu oba mu distinction oba mu first class. Tugamba nti eyo enkola temala, era tugenda kuddamu twewuunaganye ne ba industry captains abakulira insurance mu makampani ag'enjawulo okulaba nga twongeramu amaanyi tugende mu 95 ku 100, awo tubeera tugamba nti nno obeera otambudde bulungi. Okunoonyereza kwaffe kwe byazudde mulimu nti nno obudde omuntu bw'atwala bw'abeera afunye claim, amakampani agamu geetaaga okwongera okukyusa ne gongera okutereeza, era tugenda kukyongeramu amaanyi nga Insurance Regulatory Authority nga tukolera wamu ne ebitongole bino byonna okulaba nga obudde omuntu bw'atwala bukendeerera ddala. Ekyokubiri, tulina okulaba nti omuntu abeera ayagala okugula yinsuwa tatambula ngendo mpanvu, asobole okugifuna nga tukozesa emitimbagano oba digital platforms n'ebirala ebigenda okwongera okwanguya enkola y'emirimu. Obukwakkulizo bwonna bwonna bulina okukendeezebwa okulaba ng'omuntu abeera afunye obuzibu tewaliiwo bukwakkulizo bumulemesa kusasulibwa, naye era twongera okukakasa nti nno balina okusasula abo bokka abatuufu, so si abo abeerimbika ne bateekamu okusaba okw'empewo. Twagala kasitoma, twagala omuntu agula insurance abeere mumativu nga afuna omuganyulo mu ssente ze, era ekyo ekigenda okuddako kitegeeza nti engeri lipooti gy'emaze okufuluma tugenda kugigabana ne bonna bonna abali mu insurance mu Uganda, tutandike okugenda nga kakwakkulizo kamu ku kamu tukulaba butya bwe tukatuukiriza. Anaaba takatuukiriza tulina okutuula wansi ne tukkaanya nti bw'obeera tokatuukiriza kino kye kitegeeza, ate era ng'ekisinga obukulu kitegeeza nti bw'obeera tobikoze kasitoma bw'abeera tamatidde togenda kusigala mu insurance. kubanga obeera toyinaamu mulimu. Okumatira kwa kasitoma kukulu nnyo kubanga kasitoma bw'atamatira tasobola kudda wuwo kugulako. Ate kasitoma bw'abeera tamatidde ajja kubuulira abantu abalala nga 15 ng'ababuulira obubi bw'okoze. Ate kasitoma bw'amatira abuulirayo abalala batono nga 5. Kakati ekyo kitegeeza nti buli kasitoma nga tannaba kufuluma mu geeti yo olina okukakasa nti nno amatidde. Ate bw'amatira ajja kukuwa ne ssente nnyingiko okusinga n'ezo z'abeera yajjiridde. Ate era ebibalo bimaze okulaga oba okunoonyereza kumaze okulaga nti amakampani ago agabeera ne bakasitoma ne bamatira n'ennyingiza yaago yeeyongera. Mu myaka 3 amakampani ago bagalaba nga gadduka emisinde okulinnya waggulu.